welcome to this week's episode of Get the Fork Out. This week we have Melissa Phair, the talented yacht chef, and she's going to give us a little background about her history with food, her history with the yachting industry, and welcome, Melissa. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well in sunny Stockholm. Believe it or not.
I am in sunny Antigua, and it's actually beautiful. Not that you can tell because we've got the blinds down, but it is sunny outside.
I love Antigua.
It
Everyone
is
loves
an
Antigua.
amazing place. It's actually my first time in Antigua, would you believe?
Ooh,
I've been
really?
in Yacht 12 years, very long time. And it's my first time that I've actually branched to Antigua. I'm normally in St. Martin, or we've been Dominican Republic, or
Yep.
St. Lucia, anywhere but. And all my friends have been in in Antigua hanging out together, and I've always been like, one day, and here we go. So
I had the same thing with Antigua and the same thing with Palma. Like, it took me like 15 years to get to either place, and everyone's like, how have you been doing it this long and never been to either of those places? But
yeah, always seem to kind of miss it.
yeah. So what's your what brought you around to food? How old were you?
Food. Well, my dad was a chef, so that's an
Oh, you guys always make the best chefs when it's like a generational thing.
Yeah. So my dad was actually a chef and a baker.
Wow.
So that was very helpful. But we didn't do a huge amount of cooking at home because he worked all the hours that God
That's not
sent.
what chefs do. Yeah.
So my mum would cook at home, and she was absolute, bless her heart, she's not great. Her homemade bolognese is like a jar of sauce and mincemeat, because you're mixing them together, so you've made it yourself. It's made at home. So her food wasn't great, but I think maybe that inspired me to cook myself so that I could cook and eat better food myself. But yeah, when I was growing up,
excuse me, I want to interrupt with a question. Did you go to work with your dad at all? Like, were you a daddy's girl? And like,
I was a daddy's girl, but I was really little when he was a baker. He worked from 2 a.m, so he was kind of already home when I'd be like heading to school. So and then when he was a chef, no, never. It wasn't really that kind of kitchen. You know what I mean?
Most of them aren't that kind of kitchen.
Yeah.
My experience.
We're not talking child friendly here. Yeah.
No.
Not a place for kids or young girls at that stage either, to be honest. But yeah, so
fair enough.
I grew up with cooking, loved food, but I went and done a maths degree. Yeah, I did a degree in mathematical science, theoretical physics, and Spanish, and wanted to basically do international finance. So I graduated.
Wow.
Thought that was exactly what I wanted to do. I got offered a job with a derivative company in London, and yeah, everything was set. And I met a boy, as you do, ruins everything. And he was like, let's just take a gap year and we'll go to the French Alps. You speak Spanish, you can learn how to speak French, and we'll see how it goes. And I was like, all right, that does sound good. So I moved to the French Alps with no French, no money, no job, nowhere to live. And I've never really seen snow. So I bought a secondhand snowboard, a secondhand pair of boots, which were actually a size too big for me. I didn't realize how difficult that would be. Yeah, and moved to the French Alps. It was phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. And I met this millionaire, basically. And he had hurt his leg. All of his friends were out skiing, and I was like making cocktails and things for him, and recommending wine. And when I was at uni, just out of passion for it, I did my like WSET, all my wine certificates, I did my cocktail training. I just loved it. So before yachting, I had this whole hospitality background. So I met him, and he was like, you know what, you'd be perfect on my yacht. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, mate, it sounds too fancy for me. And he was like, listen, here's my card, have a think about it, see what you go. And well, the snow melted in April, so I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, I don't think I want this banking job. So I deferred again. And I was like, I'll go banking, I'll just have one more season of fun. Yeah, so that lasted 2 years before I officially just turned down the job. But I went down to the south of France, went on Antibes, did the STCW course that people were talking about, and went dock walking. And my first day, I actually went on a Saturday, bless my heart. I didn't know that You know, you got weekends off and stuff. I was like, these boats are very
Funny you remember
unresponsive.
that.
Yeah, I went on Saturday and was like, oh. So I went again Monday morning, and I remember printing out my CVs. I was living in Yacht, by the way, if you've anyone spent any
Oh
time
yeah.
in Yacht. It's a caravan park. So I had no money again, living in Yacht, in a caravan. And I went dock walking on the Monday, and I met this boat. There was a girl on there who was the second stew, and she had just done seasons. So we bonded over that. We were talking at the dock, and she was like, "Do you know how to cook?" And I was like, "Absolutely. My dad's a chef." I was like, "How hard can this fucking be?" Anyway, so the captain came out, chased me down the dock. I carried on. And funny, actually, on that note, he had said my CV looked brilliant because I'd printed it like on card because I wanted to stand out. I didn't want to be thrown through the pile. And he felt it and he was like, "Oh, it's good quality paper. You know, it really stands out from the pile of CVs that I get."
Nice
And
one.
another boat had said that to me on Saturday. And I was like, "Oh, thank you. That was a good tip. You know, I wasn't just like the top of the pile or the bottom of the pile." He could feel the difference in the quality of the paper. So when he said he wasn't looking for like anyone to work at the time, I think I was looking just for like a stew position. I was like, "Can I have the CV back then? It's just, it cost me a lot to print them and I've got no money." Like, this is how broke we're talking. I literally had to be
Oh
like,
yeah.
"If you don't know anyone, can I have the CV back? I only have like 10." But then this boat, the captain followed me down the dock and like called me back and was like, "Listen, you know, we're looking for a third stewardess and a crew chef. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "A crew chef? Yeah, absolutely. Like, what have I got to do?" And he was like, "Well, you'll spend 4 hours a day just cooking for the crew. So 2 hours in the morning between 10 and 12 and 2 hours in the evening. The rest of the time you'll help with stewardesses." And I was like, "Sweet, sounds handy." And he was like, What do you cook?" And I was like, "I don't know, like sea bass." Mind you, I'm not sure if I'd eaten a sea bass at this stage. I was
That was your
uh,
go-to answer to
I
sea
was
bass.
just
Something
came
exotic.
straight out. And I was like, "What the fuck now? What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Yeah, my, you know, worst nightmare came true when he was like, sea bass, okay, well, you know what? Come in and do a cooking trial tomorrow." And I was like, "Absolutely, I would love to." I went home and I went to my best friend at the time who was living with me and my boyfriend at the time in Beyond in the caravan. And I was like, "Hey guys, I'm a chef and I've got a trial tomorrow." And they were like, "Oh, explain this to me." And I was like, "Guys, dad's a chef. How hard can this be?" Apparently very fucking hard. It's really hard. So I did the trial, obviously went well, they gave me the job. I spent a year there. And I just fell in love with the galley. I absolutely hated the interior. I hated it. I was just like, hated clean things. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved being in the galley. I had an interesting female head chef who was actually the chief stew at the time, married to the captain. I wouldn't recommend
Interesting
anyone
indeed.
taking on those two jobs. Um, she didn't mind me. She hated the other two girls, but she had a little bit ounce, a tiny ounce more respect for me than she did the other girls. But it was probably because I didn't listen to her shit most of the time. I'd
Yeah.
just be like, if she was cranky with me, I'd be like, "Do you want me to do your dishes or not? Like, do you want to clean a bath for you or should I just go to bed?" You know, whereas the other girls would be crying all day long, all day, tears. And I was just like, I don't know what this industry is, but like, it's weird. But yeah, I worked for her for a year, which was eye-opening. You know, it was she'd come in and be like, "Is that my cheese?" And I'd be like, "Don't think so, mate." And she'd be like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Well, mine's Carrefour own brand mozzarella and yours came from the provisioner. So I'd like to think that you'd maybe know the difference because I can see the difference." Like, but there was shit that she'd say to me every day and I'd be like, "Is this real life? Like, this doesn't remind me of my
Didn't we go
chef."
over this yesterday and the day before?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but I did love it. And they asked me to stay on and I was like, "Hell no." But I did a year there. You know, I wanted to stick it out for the longevity. I did a year there and was like, "Do you know what? No one's going to take me seriously until I get some chef's qualifications." I mean, my father wasn't going to anyway. He was like, "You're such a cowboy. Like, I can't take you seriously." So I went back
I
to
love that he
Dublin.
called you out. He's like, "No,
Oh, all
don't
the
do what you're
time.
doing now. Don't
Yeah,
do
well, his
this."
only words to me was, "Don't be a chef. The hours are ridiculous. You'll have no family life and the money's shit." And after university, I was like, "Dad, do you know what I think I might like to do? I think I might be a chef." And he was like, "But why? 4 years at university. Are you just doing this to defy me?" And I was like, "Only probably 75%. So
It's a
here I
factor.
am. Here I am." So I went to chef school. I left yachting, went back to chef school. I did like a 4-month intensive course that will get me up to GNBQ2, I think, and then I had to do a short course to bring you up to like GNBQ3, I think, with
What
the
do those
UK.
letters mean? I'm American, so great.
Oh, they're like
great.
I think you get the like GNVQ1, maybe I'm a bit rusty in the knowledge, is like your inner level. You do like 3 years in like a
What
culinary
does the
art school in the
GMBQ
UK.
stand for? The letters
Oh,
specifically.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I
Well,
should
let's
know.
skip over that question. Yeah,
Not
skip over that
sure.
question.
But it's basically the standardization of like a qualification in the UK.
Yeah.
You get like a level GMBQ3 or 4, and then you want to be a chef. And in your second year, you would go and stage somewhere and do like an internship, basically.
Which is where you really learn.
Yeah. So basically, what I did was I knew I needed a certificate before, because this was before ship's cook certificate. So no one would take me seriously because I didn't have that one, because that didn't exist.
Well, it did.
So I went.
It did until other people brought it to the industry's attention.
Yeah.
It's been around since '95, and it used to be an 8-week course.
Money.
To make money.
8 week, was it? Yeah, to make money. Well, I've done that now. It cost a sweet cool cam $2.5 grand. And I don't know how many boats I've needed it on, but I've got it. But yeah, I had to go back and do a course so someone would take me seriously, and it wasn't just like a stewardess. Because back in the day, there wasn't a huge amount of stewardesses just kind of dipping into being chefs. I think it's gone like a bit like that, I think maybe in the last 6 years, it's kind of had like a bit of a shift and a bit of a change in needing qualifications, and, just a basic health and hygiene would be great. Because, you're in charge of people. Yeah, you're in charge of people's lives here. I think it's ridiculous that there isn't a standardization. It takes the piss like out of our our credentials, basically. But yeah, so I went back, did the course, and worked for 6 months for free in two different Michelin star restaurants and 1 5-star hotel. And to be honest, I think
that's how you do it.
I was like, I know where I want to go. I was a bit older, like I'd been to uni. I was probably 21. So I was like, I know what I want and I know how to get there. So I need to work for free. That's what people do in this industry. So I worked for free in 2 different Michelin star restaurants in Dublin. I would stage there like every weekend, and a couple of places during the weeknights after culinary school. Then I would go up home at the weekends, which was like 3 hours away, and I'd do a 12-hour shift minimum in the 5-star hotel doing like banquets. They were doing weddings and everything, so I'd be doing like banquet breakfast. Like they had a 3 rosette restaurant, so I was seeing, like, above all board, I was seeing them cater for 500 people to restaurants and how they did that, and I was seeing them how to do fine dining at a big scale. So if anything, I think that was the making of my career.
In retrospect, I mean, I have my opinion on it, but did you gain more from the apprenticeships/stages than you did from the culinary school?
100%. You can't teach that. You're on the job.
No.
Like, I will always suggest that to my junior chefs or my sous chefs. I'll always suggest that. Like, and now I still do it now. I still stage to this day. Like every year. Like, only that we had coronavirus. My last stage was a couple of years ago. Mark Greenaway's in Edinburgh. Seen his book, absolutely loved it. I think he got best book in the world.
Best book in the world. That's a thing.
Yeah, I think it's like a Chinese book awards or something. He got best book in the world, like maybe 2019. And there was this past edition.
Picturing like a big kind of like heavyweight wrestling belt. Like this is the book of the world.
He's an absolute G too. He's absolutely lovely. Like, so I could actually see him wearing one of those, waving a flag, be like, "Ooh, it's me." He's really sweet. But I emailed him, be like, "Doo-doo, so I want to come into Edinburgh. Like, I've seen your book, absolutely loved it. There's a pasta dish that you do." And I had done it, and it was like black and like the black and not white, but like the black and the regular, like your yellow kind of color pasta. And I always met it with squid ink, and it was too bitter. It wasn't dark enough. And I was just like, it's just not right. Like, and his doesn't bleed kind of like mine does. Like, why is his so defined? I want to know how to make that better. So I was like, you make a pasta better than me. I'm coming in. And he was like, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'm in the Caribbean. He was like, I'm in Edinburgh. And I was like, I'm well aware. I'll see you Monday.
Don't worry about it.
He was like, okay. So Monday morning, I rocked up, knives and everything, turned up at like 7:30, and these 2 chefs that must have looked about 12 years old were like, who are you? I was like, I'm working here for the week. Nice to meet you. So just started. I just was like, what's the prep list? And I just started working. Chef comes in at maybe 10:30, and he kind of does a double take and does another double take. And he's like, Melissa? And I'm like, hi chef. And he's like, fuck, I didn't think you'd show up. And I was like, yeah, I flew in from the Caribbean last night. I'm staying in some really grimy hostel. And he was like, cool, well, let's get to work. And that was it. And it was the start of like a lovely friendship as well. But yeah, I stayed with them for just over a week, learned how to make the pasta. Carbon black, by the way, absolutely not squid ink. And he used carbon black to color it. And it just, yeah, it was game changer. And I was just little things like that change your entire change your entire repertoire of dishes and recipes, because you're just like, if you can see someone making it better, you can learn from someone, like go and learn, because it costs me much less to go work for free than it does to try and like sniff this information out of somewhere.
No, like, I think to go back, I went to got a 2-year degree, associate's degree, culinary arts, and I don't recommend it to anyone. Like if that's a shitload of money. You could live very cheaply in a nice city and work for free. Maybe they even pay you a little bit, but you could learn so much more. I'm blown away by the ingenuity of chefs. You know, like the different takes on stuff and the different, like, how to set up mise en place still mystifies me after 30 years. I'm always still looking at it, like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like I still get that kind of like fire when you see
that little buzz
like,
from it when you see someone doing something else. I love that. You're like,
so
oh,
clever,
gotta add
so efficient.
time.
So when you pick it up, you just got to do that. Because you don't lose quality. You know, that's the thing. It's like,
but sometimes there's almost
like
an
prep
ounce
versus
of anger
quality
as well. Yeah, when you're just like, why didn't I think of that? You're like, I've been doing this for so many years. I set up a mise en place twice a day. How did I not think of that? Like, oh, idiot.
I did that. Did you see the Yacht Chef's Chef Dean's where he poached like 20 eggs at once? That was one of those moments where I'm just like, this is bullshit, because like I've been doing one at a time my whole career. So this is like decades and you just really fuck them all in at once. You spin the water, just go, and they all come out perfect all at the same time.
To be fair, magic. I think he's probably done breakfast service in Australia, because I've done breakfast service in Australia. And as soon as you've done that and you're asked for 45 medium, soft, hard, semi, whatever, poached eggs in turmeric oil, you'll know how to poach 100 eggs at a time, because breakfast in Australia is a special kind of hell that I don't want anyone to have to go through. But you'll learn them skills quickly.
Well, this is like, because it's like normally I would just like, if I was doing for 100 or if they're 200, you just pre-poach and shock and have them ready. But then you're still trying to like get them all right in a clockwise fashion. And this is like, you take 20 eggs, you hold the lip of the bowl close to the water, you put them in, they're all done at the same time.
Does he just empty the whole bowl of the eggs just straight in and swirl?
He didn't learn in Australia. Someone I think told him, and then he tried it, blown away, filmed it, and then it's on one of his one of his archives, like his permanent stories. I can send you a link.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it. I'll give it a look. It's quite funny.
Great. And then you can, because everyone's like, if you go to stay at someone's house, like, oh, show me how to poach eggs. I'm like, all right, do you want to know how to do 6 at once? Because that's what we're talking about, 4, 6, 8, whatever, for the home cooks. And it's like so fast, so easy.
I did with I was working actually with one. What was his name? He had a Michelin star as well, and he poached them in a frying pan. He would poach them in a frying pan and stick the lid on.
A little bit of water, right?
Yeah, tiny bit of water, and it still turned out perfect. I was like, oh, there's so many. And at that stage, this probably was about 10 years ago as well. And I was writing everything down, being like, great, now there's 12 ways to poach eggs. Like, I'm never going to learn anything. If there's 12 ways to do everything, like, how am I going to find the best way to do something?
Trial and error.
Yeah. A lot of trial and error.
All right, so you did that stage, and then so now you're outside of the yachting industry, and you're staging, and you're working places for free, but you still, the ultimate goal is I want to get back on yachts. I like the lifestyle, I like the job, I like everything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, working on land is very different. It's very difficult. Like,
oh yeah,
it's easy as a yacht chef to say, like, I can go there and stage and work for free, but I'd rather that the industry kind of tuck that away, instead of not tuck it away, because I want people to have the benefits that I had, but more, I think, less school and more internships, I think, would be really encouraged, because people that are working on land, like, or starting out as a chef, they don't have the money I have to be like, oh, I'll just work for free for a week. You know, they don't have that extra income to be like, they need to pay their rent, you know, and it's not 80 hours. You're working 17, 18-hour days, paycheck to paycheck. And if you're not even getting a paycheck, like, how they expect it to learn? So the staging, it's glamorous for us, but I think for the industry as a whole, I would much prefer if it became more of a standardized internship for that.
I think I see what you mean. So rather than putting so much weight in some sort of accreditation or certificate,
Yeah,
culinary school, university, just actually acknowledge how beneficial being a stagiaire
yeah.
is.
Or if
I
schools
agree.
can, if you're paying to go to school, then maybe they can give you like they can send you into different kitchens, get some contracts with them, and they can give you some money back from that. I know a few schools do that, and you get like a small wage because you're basically working. But
Mm,
it turns out like you're paying for school, and you're just getting a small amount of money from working. It's almost like you're paying for something and getting paid the money back, but not even half
a
as
little bit
much.
back.
Like, yeah, it's a difficult concept, but I definitely think
Now, are you
that the
talking about
world could
schools
kind of
inside
work
the
on
yachting
this.
industry? Are you talking
No,
about?
no, I mean like schools in general, like culinary
Okay.
schools.
Yeah.
In the yachting
Yeah.
industry, I mean, everything's geared towards money because everyone has money because we're paid well. So they
Yeah.
use that factor to kind
Yeah.
of hold it against us. You know what I mean? You pay for
Yeah. There's
everything.
always new ways to separate us from our money every year. New little things. You're like, oh, come on.
Here, they're like, have you got this new ship's cook secondary tertiary course? Like, no, but do I need it? Because I'm pretty sure I can fry a steak and I'm real busy
Yeah.
today. I've got 12 crew, like 12
Yeah.
guests, 20 crew, whatever to feed. Like, I think I'm doing all right. But no, yeah, I was in the industry then. I suppose going back, I did those stages and stuff, and then I went back to the yachting industry. So that was back like, yeah, like 11, 12 years ago. And I got my first job as, well, I guess my second job because I've been in there a year. My first job after being qualified, I got on a 40-meter boat. I did a 9-week boss trip. It was absolute hell. It was with
Oh no.
horrible pig
How many
Russians.
guests?
I was a sous chef. There was only 8 guests and one
That's
dog.
enough.
That
That's enough.
I had to puree Wagyu beef for
For the dog.
this little Chihuahua dog, bane of my life, bane of my existence. Um, and I'd have to puree it for him. And then the evening he would have like a different Wagyu beef. And I was like, this dog's eating better than I am. And I don't like that. And then, yeah, they weren't nice owners. You know, he'd come in the middle of the night and like get out his dry fish. And he'd always use my white pastry board and he'd always grab my knives and he'd just like smash this disgusting fish all around my galley. And the morning I wake up and be like, this can't be normal. And like they'd wanted like 3 desserts at a time at lunch and dinner. So I'd be making mad dessert
Oh,
prep. And then
as
he
a
started
sole
sticking
chef,
his
that's hard enough as like a head chef, but even as a
Oh,
sole
I
chef, like
know.
where do you
He
find the
started sticking
time?
his hands in the dessert at night. He'd find them and he'd stick his hand in it so I couldn't use it the next day. And I was
What
like,
an asshole.
I was like, this is nah. So I did like 9 weeks. So it was my first like proper, like out in my own sole chef job. And I really wanted to get my food out there. But 9 weeks, I was like, I don't need to do this. This guy's a prick
Yeah,
and my
no
food's
one does.
great. I'm
No.
off. And I literally said to the captain, I was like, I'm off. And he was like, what will we do to keep you? I was like, you couldn't pay me $1 million to stay in this boat. Like, I hate that man. I hate it here. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So that kind of finished because culinary school finished maybe midsummer, like maybe, no, it would have been the end of September or something. So I was like, what am I going to do now? There isn't that many boats looking, you know, because at the time, it was just like out to the Caribbean. I didn't have a B1, B2 visa. Um, I got a job in the Alps. And that was when I was sous chef for Andrew, who had been head chef on
Oh,
XSP, like some
McCartney.
really big yachts. He is a good time. He's a good time. I actually learned a shitload from him, absolute loads. Just his organization, he'd been working on massive yachts. He's such a chilled guy. He makes it
Yeah.
look so easy. That's what was the difference. He made it look so easy. He was super organized. He was on top of it all. We ended up getting into such a rhythm that we had like, I think we might have had like 22 crew in the chalet. It was like, it was called Le Bergerie. It was changed over from the Michelin star restaurant Le Bergerie. And basically uh, he had ran it so well that me and him didn't even work together anymore. He'd ski in the morning and I'd do the whole morning lunch service by myself and everything. He'd come in, I go skiing in the afternoon and he'd do the whole dinner prep and everything. So we'd be cooking for don't know how many guests and like 22 crew, and we both just do it on our own because we had just had it in sync so well. I was like, this is great.
That's
Um
amazing. I
so he
worked with him
really,
for
I
like
think,
4 years on ecstasy.
oh,
80/60.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Legend.
he's
Love that dude.
absolute legend, yeah. So I actually learned a huge amount from him. We didn't even have that many guest trips, but just seeing how calm he was, seeing how well he organized it, seeing that he worked with me and not, you know, as if I was beneath him. You know, it was always like, well, what are we going to learn today, or what do you want to do, or what are we up to? You know, it was always like a team thing. And I think that definitely gave me a good core, like morals, kind of, you know, for setting my standard up for the galley, like moving forward for my sous chefs. Definitely. So we were there for 6 months, didn't die. If anyone else knows Andrew, they'll know that's a huge, huge accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
went to the jungle.
went to the
You went deep
jungle.
into the jungle, and a lot of people don't make it back out.
No, came back thriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I took another job. Then I took a sous chef job for 2.5 years, and that was the hardest time of my life. Like, Jesus,
I cringe a little bit when I hear Soul Chef. Like part of me just twitches. So I
it
did it for
hurts.
10 years.
Yeah, it's that
It hurts so
PTSD.
bad. Yeah. You're not
No,
doing your best food. You're just trying to stay
you
alive.
can't. You can't. You're just
Yeah.
floating. You're just. But what I had done was like an insane amount of prep before charters. I had like a library book full of like purees. So I would like flick through and it'd be labeled at the top, and they'd all be vac packed in colors. I had like watercress, pea, and then you go down and I'd have like some kind of mango, and I'd flick down to like beetroot, and I had all these purees set up, all my powders dehydrated, like everything kind of done like back in the day. And because the boss would come on and be like, oh, dinner was nice tonight, but we prefer your food. You know, you wouldn't mind just throwing us together something simple, like maybe like a 4 or 5 course tasting menu in the next 20 minutes. And I'd be like, absolutely, sir. And this happened all the time. So like
God.
after the
So
second time,
they'd
I was
already
like,
they'd go out and
they'd say
eat
they were going out for dinner and then
come
they
back.
wouldn't like it. Yeah. So I was like, I needed this prep. So I would be able to throw together, you know, a pretty decent dinner because I just go straight in the freezer and be like, what have we got prep? Puree wise, pull things out, powders, like things were ready. And I'd always have a mise en place of like my fish and meat prepped, whether it was going to get served to them that night when they came back or the next lunchtime. It didn't really matter, you know.
Stay a meal ahead always. Minimum.
Had to be at least a meal ahead. So I think that's the only thing that saved me. But yeah, after the couple of years, I had continued staging and I just realized my food just wasn't up there. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I was like, I need another chef because I can't I can't work from 5 a.m. baking my breads to like midnight and then guests coming back at 4 and wanting something else. And then me just being like, guess I'll stay up. It's time to do the bread. You know, I just couldn't do it anymore. You just burning the candle at both ends.
It's not nice.
And the quality just isn't as good, you know? So I got a head chef job, which again wasn't easy to come by as a female head chef in the industry, to be honest. A female rotational head chef job feels like a unicorn of a job because if it's at a certain size, like I really like 75 meters, 80 meters.
That's size.
Yeah, but you don't really get your own cabin in those. I did in my last boat, which was great, but you don't often get your own cabin until you go to like 85 up to 100. So the cabins are changing out. The other head chef is 95% of the time a male. So they need another male head chef, you know, or you're kind of uprooting half a boat to do it, or you might be sharing with the sous chef, which might be a male. It's difficult. And then you have to kind of keep the whole team like that. So it didn't take me that long to find a female head chef job. It's taken me years to find a female rotational head chef job.
Well, there are not that many rotational jobs, unfortunately.
It was difficult, but I'd interviewed my sous chef when I was on. I had a head chef position. Sorry, I had a head chef position. I wasn't a rotation, but I was female head chef. And I was interviewing for a sous chef, and I interviewed this girl, and she was saying, your CV sounds like you want to be sous chef now. Do you want to be sous chef, crew chef, sous chef? She'd been on like an 85 as third chef. I was like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, because I want a solid sous chef. And she was like, I said, what are your goals in the industry? And she was like, well, to be a head chef in a couple of years. And I was like, well, then you do not want to be a sous chef. I was like, because it's so much harder to climb into a head chef position. I know I did. I was like, but I'm telling you, I clawed into that position and was overqualified for it before I even got it. Like I was fighting to get it. You go in as someone's sous chef, they'll teach you everything you need to know. And when like eventually we leave, you can step up and you'll be trained and you'll be the best person in that job and in that role to step up. And I said, but say in 3 years time, you're a sous chef for 3 years, or a sous chef, sorry, for 3 years. And then you come onto a boat, or you're looking for another position and I'm looking for another position, you know, and we're on separate boats and I'm a head chef looking for a new head chef position and you're a sous chef looking for a head chef position. Who do you think they're going to hire, you or me? I was like, I'll have been head chef for 3, 5, 7 years. You'll have still never been head chef and you'll be looking for that job. And I was like, you're going to be in the same difficult position as you are today. And I was like, so
Yep.
I don't know if I'm going to hire you, but I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the best advice that I wasn't given, like as chef to chef and as female to female. If you want to be a head chef in a few years, go and work for a good chef and you will
Yeah.
get that. You're not getting that job as a sole chef
And you
stepping
get
up.
so much benefit out of that. You get the education, but also you're plugged into that network of the bigger boats. Like I said, I did Sous Chef for 10 years, but I would have, and your advice is true for males as well. Like, get out of the Sous Chef, maybe do a season or two or a year, check it out, see, maybe, I mean, some really talented chefs love that shit and they never leave.
Yeah.
But then if you want to branch out, yeah, just go be a sous chef, minimum season, probably a year, but you'll learn so much more about provisioning, how to organize stuff with crew, kind of how politics work. Like, it's massively important to, because I think people are always skittish of hiring a sous chef as a head chef for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't really know like how they're going to manage crew. Like how are they going to
Yeah.
manage somebody else? Are they going to work in the galley? Are they going to work together as a team? Or are they going to still be this lone ranger rock star chef? It's hard. So instead of taking the risk, they just give the job to someone that's already a head chef. Why would they not? So that was my only advice to her. And to be honest, she got offered a job as sous chef and it was maybe 3 grand more than I was paying her. And instead she took the job with me. And I just left the boat and a year ago, and that was the first thing they did, ask her to be head chef. So I was like, this is how it works. And I'm really glad, it's 2.5 years, a long time to see something play out, but I'm really glad it played out how I wanted it to. You did get offered the job as head chef. That's great.
It's a big I told you so.
Yeah, it is.
You're welcome.
It's a good lesson. It is a good lesson. And it's any advice I would give to any chefs out there, like go and learn from someone, go and learn from a good chef. And if you don't think you're learning, that you are a crew chef or a sous chef on a boat underneath a head chef that doesn't want to teach you, then go find another job. There's so many head chefs out there that do want to teach you. Every other day I'd be like, right, what are we learning today? Should we go over sushi rice again? Should we practice our breads? Like, why don't you make the breads today? Why don't you make this today? Like, you need someone that's always going to be pushing you. If you're just doing crew food every day, you're not advancing. If you're not advancing, there's no point you being on that boat.
Yeah, I agree. And you also need a certain type of sous chef that really wants that, because a lot of times they'll just want to skate.
Yeah, just do their food. And I've been lucky. I've had phenomenal sous chefs that have just wanted to learn, wanted to work their way up, wanted to know every piece of knowledge. We done everything together. I do crew food with them. We do guest food together. Ultimately, it'd be my dishes going out, but I'd want them to practice their techniques, practice their plating. Show me what you've got as well. Have you been thinking of a dish? Like, let's do it. Let's work on it together. Let me help you take pictures of it. Like, you don't have a repertoire yet. You need to start taking pictures of your food, and you don't get to do that a lot when you're sous chef, because you're too busy drowning. Drowning, which
I can't believe I did it for 10 years. I was like, I wish we could go back and change that a little bit. But it's just,
I can't either, because I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. Like, it's created and shaped you as a human right now, but a little bit. I'm like trying to make you feel, but you've wasted a decade, but it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Well, 5 years would have been fine. 5 years would have worked. Like, but 10, like, oh, you're just chasing your tail for 10 years, basically, for 5 of the 10. But anyway.
It's so hard. It is so hard. Yeah. All we've done is bitch and moan about how hard it is to be sous chef. And here I'm taking on a new, do
you have any other advice for female chefs specifically, like things that I wouldn't know, or kind of maybe just the hiring process? Like, how does it work?
You know what? I've been asked several times, would I be okay with working with a male sous chef? I don't know how many times you've been asked, would you be okay working with a female sous chef? I don't know if that's...
I did for 4 years.
Yeah, but I mean, but were you asked, would you be okay with it? Because I've been asked several times, like, would you be okay? Exactly. I was like, yes, I'd be okay. It depends. Is he shit or is he not shit? Because if he's shit, he's good, he can stay.
Don't give a fuck.
That's what I mean. That's my point in the conversation, is like, you'll be asked and you have to try and keep your cool and not look like, because I'm a massive feminist, but not the raging burn your bra feminist. I just mean everyone should be treated equally. The fundamental like aspects of being a feminist is just everyone's treated equally. It doesn't matter. It should be irrespective of your gender. But yeah, I've been asked several times, would I be okay with having a male sous chef, or I'd be okay if the other chef rotation was male. I was like, I don't care. Like, why would I care? Like I care
Yeah.
about their quality of food, but I'm like, do they care? Is that what this issue is about? Are they going to struggle taking like demands and stuff from a female head chef? Like maybe you should ask them that question first. But it
I
is
couldn't
difficult.
imagine that scenario on a yacht. Like we're all like live and work together. It doesn't. But I don't know. Like that's as a male saying, "Oh, I've never seen sexism before," so I know how ignorant that sounds. But I'm sure it
Oh,
exists.
it's
But I
hot.
couldn't
Like
imagine.
our
Yeah.
last boat, our captain, sorry, came in and said, "Oh, I've never seen a skinny chef before." Meanwhile, I was in the galley and he wasn't talking to me. So I was like, firstly, right here. Secondly, he was talking to my gorgeous South African sous chef who was about 6 foot tall. But he was like, "Oh, I've never worked with 2 female chefs before and a skinny chef." And I was like, "Get out, fucking get out." So just like you got to take these things in the chin every single day. Like it's
Yeah.
still unbelievable. And a lot of the time it is, I'll be through to the last 3 people on a rotational job, and the crew chef or the crew agent has just said to me, "Oh Mel, they've gone with the guy," or "There's only 3 people left in the interview process. The captain loves your CV. The other chef doesn't even want to interview you. They've just interviewed the 2 guys and they've hired one of them." And I'm like, he's not even going to interview me. And like, obviously, I'm there, like, finding out the name, stalking him on Instagram, being like, "Oh, it's because my food's better than his. Never mind. It's okay. Don't interview me. Hire somebody else. Shit, go for it. I don't mind." But you got to take it on the chin. But there's a lot of
If that's the
there's
case, that guy's a pussy.
there's
Just
a lot of
elevate.
shit.
Just try harder.
Yeah, but then you don't want to hire someone that's going to be better than you and putting out better food than you, because then you're going to have to up your game. You want someone that's going to be kind of on the same level as you, so it's just you don't have to really change your ways.
But you shouldn't have to worry about upping. Just up your game. Just
I
you
know.
gotta challenge yourself anyway.
If it was as
Like
simple as that,
yeah,
the yachting industry wouldn't be so difficult. But yeah, it is difficult for female head chefs. I would say for female junior chefs, go and find a good chef that you want to learn from, irrespective if they're male or female. My best head chefs have been males. The female was a crazy. She was cray cray. But I still learn from her. But make sure you're learning and moving forward and advancing. Ask different questions. Ask again. Don't feel stupid either. If you don't know how to make the bread, don't pretend you do. Just be like, "Look,
no.
can you explain the benching process to me again?" Okay, you just leave it there for 10 minutes. Okay, that's a stupid question. It's not. Just ask so you
It's
don't
not a
fuck the
stupid
bread.
question. It's just
Ask.
communication. That's it.
Just
Just
ask.
kind of
Don't feel stupid. Just keep asking
everyone
questions.
learns so differently as well. Like you can
Yeah.
say the same directions to 2 different people and they're going to be interpreted differently. Not right or wrong, and nothing is stupid. It's just
Yeah.
people process information
And I'd say don't underestimate yourself as well. I had like Justine from Mine We Went, I was being, brilliant throughout my career. She has pushed me to take certain jobs and I'm like, I don't know. And she was like, "I'm going to be real with you. There are 90% of the people who have applied for this job have got 6 years less experience than you. Like
Mhm.
you don't, like you have no idea." She was like, "I'm putting you forward. Like this is the job for you." And I was like, "Okay." And she would say that men will always go for a job when they're underqualified. And she would say she would have to push female chefs to go for the job when they're 130% ready. We will
Yeah.
not really kind of take that step in. We want to feel ready. We want to feel confident. We don't want to feel. Whereas men are just a bit more confident and cocky like that. They'll be like, "I can do it, sure." And I would say I would just hope that more female chefs would take that attitude. Just fucking go out and get it. Like get yours, do the job, you'll kill it. Have more confidence in yourself, believe in yourself. Your food's better than you believe it is. And
That's great advice. It's great
yeah, I
advice.
think a lot. And that applies to junior, male chefs as well. Like your food's probably better than you think it is. There's a lot of grinding down in the industry. There's a lot of like, I think even the mental health aspect in the industry. You're working 17, 18-hour days, you're living like in the big brother house with everybody else. Like you're exhausted. Like, it's weakening to the spirit. You'll start doing the same stuff every day, or you're just doing crew food. You'll start thinking like, am I good enough? Can I be head chef? Like, I'm exhausted. Could I do this every day? You'll start doubting yourself. And I think, there's a lot more like advocates now for like mental health and awareness and getting more rest in the industry. And I think that's brilliant because, gone are the days where it's like, "I've worked harder than you today. I've worked longer than you." Like, I've had plates thrown at me. I've had stuff like knives thrown, pans thrown in different restaurants. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to raise my voice. that stops at me. I'm not going to have that in my galley. Like, I want it to be a positive environment where people are having fun, they're learning, like they feel motivated,
Laughter is
they want to
key.
come to work. Yeah, like,
I feel like laughter goes through all the way to the guests. Like this is kind of
yeah,
just an unprovable hypothesis, but if you're laughing in the galley, if you're carrying on with either your second chef or third chef, fourth chef, the girls, doesn't matter. Like that permeates into the crew mess, that permeates like up the stairs to the guests. Like I
yeah,
really do
you
think
can
it comes
feel it.
comes across.
You can definitely feel it through service as well.
Yeah.
And just working like with the service girls, I've worked with a couple of different boats and the chefs hadn't been as responsive, you know, it was just like the girls will carry the food, like let them taste it. If you want them to have some interest in the food, like let them taste the food. Let them,
Mhm.
if they don't know what like a sabayon is, well then teach them, you're making it. Just tell them for 4 seconds, it's going to take you 4 seconds to tell them you're not that busy and important. Let them taste the sabayon. Let them help you plate one day. Like this isn't rocket science. Also, no one's going to die. It's just food, mate. It's just fucking food. Just like if you can spread that positivity and the learning out to the girls, the chief steward's going to want to show the junior girls as well. And everyone's going to be proud of your food carrying it upstairs. And they're going to have less chance of sticking their thumbs in the middle of it and writing their plates with their fingertips everywhere. You know, I think if you can treat them with respect and give them the knowledge about the food, that filters through as well to the boss, because they're going to go to the guests and be like, oh, I know exactly what this is. This is this, and it kind of tastes like this. Isn't it beautiful? You know, chef, let me taste it an hour ago, you know, when they were plating something up. And I think that's important because I don't often go up with my food to the guests. I'm not that chef. Like if it's charter and they want to see me and I'm doing like a 10-course tasting menu, fine. But I don't come up every day being like, sponge, guys, bonjour today. Here we are having like, not for me, not for me. Like
No.
I actually had one charter where I was like 4 days in and I came up to present something and the guest went, oh, I thought you were a big fat French man. And I was like, I mean, I met you. I don't know where that's come out of, but I mean, I met you on the dock the first day you arrived and I was in a chef jacket and so was the other chef, but thank you for noticing. I obviously looked like this. I obviously looked like the stew masseuse, and he thought the chef was back in the galley. But I was like, and he was like, I think I'd made him something French, and maybe that's where that came from, or the sourdough baguettes or something. It was a minor backhanded compliment that I tried to take gracefully. But my face my face says everything, so I don't know if I hit it well. It's like, cheers, mate. Fuck you.
Yeah, I guess it was a compliment. Definitely compliment. I
Yeah.
would think. I don't know, depending on your view on French.
Indirect, but yeah, a compliment all the same. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What any other tips for maybe some of the greenies in the industry trying to get their first job as a chef?
I mean, absolutely dock walk with high quality paper that feels almost like cardboard. I think that actually was great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know they're flicking through a lot of CVs when they are just looking for someone green. They're looking at a lot of pictures. And if no one has experience, how are you going to stand out? It depends.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can always tell them you cook sea bass. It worked for me as well, even if you've never seen a sea bass. But I would say be proactive. Like, don't just apply to the agencies. Like, email agencies, ask can you have a call with them. Like when I was looking for my first, I think I told you before, I was looking for my first head chef job and I had been working for Andrew. I had been a sous chef and I wanted to step up, and obviously I was stuck in that kind of sous chef category, where you know you're in the 50-meter boats and they don't really want to look at you for any higher. And I think I just sent like an almost snotty email to Justine being like, listen, I'm fucking good at what I do. You haven't considered me for any of these roles. I have applied for loads of roles. Nothing has happened. Tell me what the crack is. And she called me straight away. We spoke for like an hour and a half and she was like, ballsy. But I mean, yeah, I've taken notice of you.
Justine's
like,
awesome. I love Justine.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's lovely and such an advocate for female chefs that I really love it as well. Like she's so motivating, like so positive. And yeah, so she was like, you know what, that was ballsy, but it's worked for you. You've got my attention. Let's get you in a big boat. And I was like, about time. But I would say just be proactive. Don't just apply, like talk to people and do stages in your free time. Like get your skills up. What is going to differentiate you from someone else? And like, why do I want to hire you? Like, what can you actually bring to the table? More than skill set, I will look for a positive attitude and someone's willingness to learn. And I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it's true. Like,
it's so true.
It's like I can teach anyone anything. Like, you know, as long as you know how to do it.
At the very least, we can learn together. Like, let's figure this shit out. Like,
Exactly. But if you've got someone that just thinks they already know everything, they're not willing to learn, and they're not willing to do things your way, which it's not like it's my way or the highway. The sous chefs have come to me with so many more things that have enriched my life than I've known. They've taught
Yeah,
me as much as I've taught them.
definitely.
But if they're going to come in with this kind of attitude, like it's just not going to work. You need to be flexible.
No,
Sometimes green's easier because you can help shape them
sometimes.
into a good chef. And then
I've
sometimes they're
had
coming from
one
a
bad greenie.
restaurant.
Wow.
Have you? How bad was it? They came from a restaurant lifestyle and they
Yeah,
just
and they
kind
were
of
2 years older than me, and it was just like on just exactly what you just said. They already know everything, but they're still repeating the same stuff for the crew. The crew don't like the food. They're not listening. Like to have
and
beers
older
on
than you
charter.
too.
I'm just like, oh my God, like you are unbelievable. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's really my only bad story though. Honestly, there's just like the one.
I've had no, well, I've had three phenomenal female sous chefs that have all gone on now to be head chefs, which to me is like the biggest, like one of
Yeah,
my
that's
biggest
massive.
accomplishments in the
Yeah,
industry. Because I'm just like, fuck yeah, like they're brilliant. I'd say better than I am, and I'm like, this is great, and that's what you want to do, isn't it? You want to teach someone so that they can go on and improve themselves.
yeah.
And half of the time as well, you are learning together in different things because it's not a restaurant. You're going to be asked for Korean food. And I'm like, I haven't been to Korea, but here we go. I've been to
Yeah,
Japan.
here we go.
Close enough.
Here we go.
Yeah. Like, and, when guests are asked for specific things, sometimes you don't know the answers. And I think that's a good lesson for other head chefs too. Like, don't pretend to know. Like, you don't need to be obnoxious enough to pretend you know all the answers. And your sous chef doesn't expect you to know everything. Like, just
No,
because you're in charge doesn't mean you know everything. Like, I think that has been a lesson to me to be able to let down my guard and be like, I know how to make it, to be honest with you, but I'll look it
let's
up
Google
and
it.
we'll make it together.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
I
think as
think
soon
like
as you
being a yacht chef
yeah,
is a lot of like pulling stuff out of your ass last minute too. Like, and that's why like I really appreciate charters because I end up going down pathways in food I never would have gone down on my own. And I'm like, well, I kind of like it here. This is great. I like it.
yeah, I'll,
Interesting
I'll
shit.
explore this a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And that's the best part, I guess, about being a yacht chef as well. You've got the freedom to kind of cook what you want. You're not doing the same stuff in a restaurant every day. You've
Yeah.
got generally the best produce or ingredients in the world, unless you're anchored off Antigua in the middle of nowhere. And you,
Caribbean
and
in the
you,
winter is a little bit grim. Why these tomatoes taste like shit? Well, it's
you know,
March. It's March
yeah.
in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm not sure what you want from me.
Yeah, why are these strawberries not great? I mean,
Wow.
I've got two answers. One is polite, one is
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like I guess we're blessed to have all of this, this good produce and stuff and get to make different things every day. Like and challenge yourself every day. Like that's great because
I love it.
a lot of restaurant chefs you burn out and you don't really get that opportunity to do.
No. And you got to make $1 out of 30 cents if you're in charge. So we don't have that issue. So I give restaurant
Yeah.
chefs a lot of props as well. I'm like, oh, you mean this cooking thing is a business? Oh, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, you mean you're using pork neck every day for the next 5 weeks for staff meal. How many meals can you make out of that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough. I worked in the opera house. I took a year out of yachting, like when I was 30, like 5 years ago, long time. Yeah, I
35
took a
years
year out.
ago. Wow, you look great. Holy
Thank you.
shit.
Thank you. It must be all the Botox.
Yeah.
No secrets here,
Wow.
team. No secrets. 35. 35 and thriving. Yeah, so when I was 30, I went to work in the opera house in Sydney. Well, it wasn't to go work in the opera house. I could get a student visa until I was like 31. I was like, I gotta go. So I basically turned up to Sydney, went into the opera house and handed them my CV. And they're like, sweet, can you start tomorrow? And I was like, whoa, I have nowhere to live. And they were like, what? And I was like, I only got here like yesterday. And they were like, okay,
Hmm.
well, what about Friday? And I was like, 2.5 days to find somewhere to live. And I was like, okay. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity of working for like Peter Gilmore in the opera house. So I was like, I'll be there. So like ended up, I think, staying with a friend, working 17-hour days. I found somewhere to live. It's actually quite hard to find somewhere to live in the city centre in Sydney. So I could like
Yeah, I
walk
can
to work
imagine.
every day. That was
It's really
in
expensive.
work.
Like any
Yeah.
city
I think
center in the world, it's brutal.
I think I was paying maybe 430 a month. No, 430 a week. Sorry. Not including bills. savage in a shared house. I mean, it was kind of pimped. It was like the penthouse floor, and I did have a beautiful like ensuite and everything, but it was like half yachting, half land life. I didn't want to take away all of my luxuries, so we met halfway at a ridiculously expensive apartment that I spent no time in because I worked 17-hour days in Peter Gilmore's like all the time. But it was phenomenal. We had like 35 chefs there, and within the first couple of days I was put out into the tasting bar, which is actually inside the restaurant. So there's like one restaurant menu, and then there's a bar top, and everyone sits around there, and you like make all the food just like in front of them. And there was we had an oven there and a plancha and stuff like that. It was brilliant. And there was maybe 6 of us working there in that tiny space, which is difficult because it was maybe the size of like a yacht kitchen, and there was me and 5 Koreans, and we're just going for it like. But it was brilliant. It's such a good experience. Like modern Australian food, like it's just beautiful. I learned loads, but every day like you had to take turns doing staff food, and it was bleak. We had like ham hock that we'd cook off for, like we're doing like this gourmet sausage roll, which was actually like the tits. It was really nice. We had it in like a different like fermented, like 4 different fermented mushrooms, like dehydrated into like a powder and then rolled in it. It was beautiful. And then the pastry section would do beautiful fresh pastry for us, and we'd roll them in that. So we had like the ends of like ham hocks and stuff then to use for staff food. Staff food was always the most salty thing. There was no getting away from it. You didn't add any salt. It was just always the saltiest meal that you could ever possibly make.
For fermentation, like 2%.
Like I think it was more from like the like ham hocks and the heels and everything that we're using, that the chefs always wanted us to transform into this delicious gourmet meal for staff meal. So it was like every 2 days you just have like these big like melted hams, like just tiny dregs of it, and you're like, can I turn this into a spaghetti bolognese? Like, but the things like on that topic, the things that people came up with and the things that the chefs there came up with were like extraordinary. Like I was embarrassed then, because I was like, I've got to get good at this. Like I've got to get good at making something shit into something great. I was like, I can dig back into my uni days where I had like 40p to live on for a week and I lived on pasta pesto. I was like, but this is different. Like I need to make something with these ham hocks and like with all these leftover tiny bits of like pork neck, and like I need to make it taste good. And also I'm gonna have to do that on top of my entire prep list, which is 4 days long. And you've got 3 hours to do it, and then you can work over your lunch. Like it's savage. It is savage. Like, and it's a good remember though. Like it was a good refresher for me of why I am in yachting and kind of not back in restaurants. Like I would never go back to a Michelin star restaurant. I mean, I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to do like 20 hours a day anymore, fighting tooth and nail and just like, get one cloth.
But like we do long hours. We do 20 hours a day sometimes on the yacht too, but you get paid for it. Like the salary is a bit better where you just get paid.
It's a million times better. Like I was on like just over minimum wage in Australia, which is a huge wage compared to what you get paid in the UK for chefs. But like I was working in the opera house. It wasn't a great salary. It was probably like a quarter of what I'm earning now. Like it's a big cut, especially when you're paying $430 a week for your rent and tax on top of that. Like it is significant. It's hard. But then you do that for a while, and then you come back to yachting with loads of fresh ideas, and I guess that maybe a new appreciation for the industry, to be like, this is great. Oh my god, I get paid so much money. Oh my god, like look at how clean everything is and how nice everything is, and look at all this produce. Like, should I make pork belly for the crew today? Like, you know, you come in with like a fresh mind.
Winter. Like I grew up with 6 months of winter, so I like going back into winter as a tourist, just like I like staging, because I go back into the restaurant industry where I'm from. Like that's 16 was the first time I worked in a restaurant, and I've never done anything since other than food and obviously yachts. But to go back as a tourist, as a stage, and just like work your ass off for them, not getting paid, but the amount of shit you learn and techniques you pick up and all that, like almost what's that word, like kind of reminiscence of a different time, and you're just like, oh, it's just such a cool like
nostalgia,
brotherhood. Nostalgia, that's the word.
It is nice. And then again, you get the nostalgia from that, and then the reality check when you come back to yachting. I would say if anyone's kind of getting burnt out from yachting, which is everyone, then I would recommend like just taking a little break. It's not going to do anything to your CV. Yes, everyone wants longevity, but if I see a gap in someone's CV and they're just going to say to me, listen, I was burnt out for a bit, the boat was getting too much, we changed captains, we changed 20 crew, and I was doing the same food for the American owners. I took a break and I went and worked on land. I'd be like, hired. The smartest decision you've made, you know. I would say anyone's kind of struggling with that, take a break. Like there's a million jobs out there. You get another job again. Take a break, take a step back, evaluate what you actually want to do with your life. Go and work in a restaurant, whether it's for free or whether it is for like actually getting paid. Like I did. I just flew out to Sydney for the year. I was like taking a break from yachting for a year. I'll be back after that. And I came in with a new lease of life, a new repertoire of like menus, because I'd met like so many, like the Asian food there's phenomenal. And quickly after that, I went to Tree and then in Tokyo and did like sashimi, sushi, Japanese grill, because I just had such a passion for it then, like amazing. And then you come back with this whole other skill set and whole other mindset. And I think you're just like a better all-rounded person, you know, and like mentally you're better at what you're going to be doing. And I think that is really important, I suppose, an aspect for people to hear. Like, if you're struggling, if you're feeling burnt out, go, leave. Don't say, I'll wait it out to the next paycheck. Like, even if it's mid-season, like I know that a lot of people wouldn't want to hear this. I'm sure captains and crew agents don't want to hear this, but if you're struggling mid-season, you're burnt out, just fucking go, man. Just go. It's better for you. It's better for your mental health, and it'll be better for everybody else in the long run. Like, there's so many of us out there, so many chefs that will be ready to step into your job. The boat will be fine. You will not. The boat will be fine. You'll get another job straight away whenever you're ready to get the job. Like, I would say.
That's why I think rotation is so helpful in terms of burnout. Like, you've a lot more free time for other projects, stages, traveling, of course, eating, of course. But yeah, I think rotation for me is just, I think it keeps a lot of people in the industry longer as well. A lot of good people that have the experience and have the time in, and it's like, well, look, I can't do 10 months on a boat. I just can't. Don't want to.
No. My last job was 10 months. I only got 2 months off a year. And then I tried to leave, and then the boss offered me more. Like, it's always the golden handcuffs or something else. He actually flew me to Japan and paid for my entire course. So like that was
sick.
That was, and a ridiculous amount of money. The course itself, I think, is about 15 grand or something, and I think it was about the same.
Which one, the Sushi Academy?
Yeah, and then I did the sashimi and the Japanese grill, and did a ramen course, and I think it was just the price of the accommodation probably matched the price of the course. I was staying in Ginza, right beside where it is, like, and I was staying in like an apart hotel where it was serviced. It was beautiful. He was like, "Yeah, stay wherever you like. You know, stay somewhere nice. Don't be slumming it." And I was like, okay, but like, so basically I was just staying in an apartment in a hotel, bawling. And I was like 3 seconds to school every day, which was phenomenal, because most people were like, yeah, it was great. Like every day I just walk to the market and be like, wow, I'm in Japan. And living in Ginza was just every day, like just a new adventure, like just beautiful. But yeah, like I think that's been written into a lot of contracts more and more now, like the educational term. And if it's not, you can also approach your captain and say, listen, like, is there a budget? Is there any kind of funding for, for progression and education? And I think, again, not to beat on about it, but, us women don't really ask for a lot as well. We've given a hot contract, and we're probably grateful enough to be given our female head chef rotational job, or our, maybe our first head chef job in the industry, or whatever it is. But it doesn't hurt to ask. It really doesn't hurt to ask.
No, it doesn't.
Not going to go against you. Like all this, when people are like, oh, you only want to know what the salary is, you're not interested in the position. Bullshit. Of course you want to know what the salary is. It's a huge taker on the position. When crew agents are like, oh, we don't know the salary just yet, but it's going to be a competitive one. Well, I want to know it. It is important, but it's not an issue to ask these questions. Do you have this in place for education? Do you have a bonus scheme in place? Is it going to come in every year? Like what, is there any other benefits apart from my salary and my holiday? It's going to be
discussing the package. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No, and I would definitely say, like, a lot of,
how much am I selling my time for?
Yeah. And I think that was huge for me. I had to pay it back, or didn't have to pay it back to the boat, but I would have if I hadn't stayed another year, which is fair enough.
That's usually how it goes.
And that's the normal
clause. People take a course and then take off, and
exactly.
Really fair to the rest of the people.
No, exactly, or the boss himself. But yeah, I would definitely recommend people asking for that, because that was a game changer for me, and it kept me on a boat, because I technically got 4 an extra 4 months off that year, which was pretty much rotation because I spent 4 months nearly in Japan.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it was phenomenal. Because then I just traveled by myself for the rest of the time I was there. I finished the course and was like, this is cool. So I just bought myself the high-speed train ticket and just traveled all around and just ate everywhere. Every day was just
Excellent.
a constant eating adventure. I mean, my bank balance was almost like, we don't want to talk about that. I think I was at seven stars maybe in 1 week. It was like, it was,
Oof. Hell yeah.
yeah.
Good for you.
And Japanese stars.
Do you have any
talking
projects like kind of coming up that you want to talk about, or any kind of
I
business ideas?
I do have a business idea. It's not related to yachting, but it is in the wings. And given rotation, it's so much easier to work on different passions and stuff like that. And I would encourage people to do that, because then you get to discover other sides of you and other like creative outputs that's not just food. You don't have to just define yourself as food. Like, I'm a chef and this is all I kind of do. And when I leave the industry, I have to be a chef. So I'm actually launching a fashion brand, random, in probably May, June this year. It's sustainable luxury resort wear, just kind of related to yachting. If anyone knows me, they'll know what I'm like. And I like to be overdressed for every possible occasion. Like, you can never be overeducated or overdressed, and that's how I believe. So yeah, I've just always loved clothes and just thought it's a cool little project. I love having projects on the side because it just keeps me busy, keeps my mind active, and keeps me ticking over. You don't have as much time to do that
for me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exciting to kind of like branch out into, you know, a different area and see if you enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to that. Other projects I have at the minute, I'm through to Chef's Roll, have like a female head chef competition in America. And I think I'm just through to, there was 300 people, I'm through to the last 29. I think I have one more round do this week, and it's on sustainability. So I need to think of a dish basically, which it was just quite easy for me because I quite like using like the whole whole aspects of things, like the farm to table or whole vegetables. So I might do something with cauliflower. I just feel like cauliflower is the easiest vegetable to use in the world. I'll probably just pickle, like brine or pickle the leaves, like maybe sous vide the stalk and just have like it as like a little steak in the middle. Maybe do like a siphon whip of just some kind of maybe like a cauliflower kind of style sabayon over the top of it, and just play with some like sweet and salty flavors.
I saw a really good recipe where they fried the florets, kind of fried them in a beurre noisette. It's just like so simple, so nice, so delicate. Yeah, I'll send you the link. It'll inspire you. And I had an amazing cauliflower dish. And
amazing! Yeah, I love that.
So good. I do love cauliflower. You can't fuck around. You can pickle it.
It's just brilliant.
You can fry it. You can roast it, puree it. Goes great with truffle. Goes great with fish. Goes great with everything. It goes good with meat. It's a banger.
And it looks great on the plate. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
The first dish I did to enter the competition was a carrot dish, and it was kind of based on Claire Smith. She's like one of my all-time faves, Northern Irish, not that I'm biased. And she worked with Ramsay for what, like 15 years or something, and now she has her own place, Core, which I think was the quickest to get her Michelin stars in the industry, which is well deserved. Like, I haven't actually got to eat at Core yet, and I can't wait to get back to London to be able to actually eat there. Like, I just think she's phenomenal. And she's so chilled as well. She's got this such decorum and just such an aura about her that's just like, you're cool, like I want to be mates with you, you know. But yeah, she basically did like a lamb, it's called lamb carrot, and it's basically like she does a carrot and like braises it in like lamb jus and like cooks it all down, but making the carrot as the star of the dish. And then she does like a carrot, like some kind of bread with it. I think that's stuffed with some of like the lamb neck and crispy lamb pieces like on top of the carrot. It just looks phenomenal. So I did kind of like a vegetarian take on that, and I made like a sweet salty carrot bread. I did like smoked mascarpone, so you could kind of dip the carrot bread into that and kind of mop all that up, and then just did like the sous vide, like little heirloom different colored carrots, and then use the tips of the carrot to make like an oil, like a herbed oil. So kind of like using all the elements of the carrot just to like showcase the carrot. And I mean, it must have been all right because I got down to the final 29, but like, it's not Claire Smith, but I'm working on it.
Do you, wow, we got to go soon. I got 5% battery and I can't plug in right now. But do you have to cook again for that competition, or like is
Yeah,
it just you see
yeah.
the one plate and the one plate gets you through to wherever and then
No, that's the cauliflower dish that I'm going to do this week. I have to get through the second finals as well. And then after that, it goes from 29 to 3 people. So I'll let you know. Embarrassing if I don't get through.
sustainability? I like it. So that's like, yeah, I mean, go veggie, go rather than something with meat.
I'm going to go veggie and using all parts of the vegetable. And I feel like cauliflower is the easiest way to do that. And it's also, they want it to be like appeasing to diners, but like doing fine dining cauliflower is just a walk in the park. It's white, it's beautiful.
Everyone does it. Yeah, but you can roast it and make it brown. You can buy the purple shit. You can do whatever you want with it. Like it's so, and it's cheap and cheerful. That's the thing. Like that's the real skill. You touched on it earlier. It's like any asshole can cook filet mignon. Like, all right, it's boring and I don't like it anymore. But like it's the cheaper stuff. It's the pork neck. That's the craftsmanship for sure.
Yeah, it's all about the flank steak. It's all about the flank. Cheapest chips. Cook it quickly. Yeah, about that.
I go skirt over flank every day, all day.
I just think it's beautiful. That and a chimichurri. That and the chimichurri I think probably my go-to meal. That'll be up there with one of my last meals, I think.
Really?
Chimichurri. Yeah, very Argentinian of me. I'd obviously have an Argentinian red as well. You gotta go full in there.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't cut myself short on the glass of red wine to go with my steak either. But that'd be one of my final meals.
Would that be your last meal?
I think it'd be up there. Yeah, just simple steak, rare, beautiful chimichurri. Obviously, some sort of potatoes. Again, I'm Irish. Can't fault the spuds. You can take the girl out of Ireland, but you can't take Ireland out of the girl. But yeah, I think that's what I'd go for.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't know about my last meal. I think just like, I don't know. I had a more elaborate question for a last meal question, but it's too late now. We've already delved into it. But
I fucked it up for you.
I don't know. Just simple. No, you didn't. You didn't at all. Just like a hot croissant with cold butter, I'd be stoked. No, just make myself sick on that, and then that's it. Like, give me like 12 of those, and then off.
Take me, yeah. Or just the casual.
The more elaborate is give me a tasting menu by some long dead chef, or just a current one that's really hard and inaccessible, I think. Yeah, don't know.
We'll catch back up on it.
Yeah, we should. But I'm gonna let you go. I got 3%. We're dying fast here. Dying fast in the sun.
We're dying fast, and I've got some crude food to throw out today.
I better go. You said throw out?
Yeah, no, we'll actually throw out as in get out to the kids.
Oh, I gotcha. I thought it was weekend food. You're like, oh, fucking bin food. Here we go. Awesome.
No, we're Thursday, mate. Weekend food has been thrown out a long time ago.
I don't know. I thought maybe you got off a trip. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I promise I follow all health and safety standard procedure. Okay, well, it was lovely talking to you. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Yeah, thanks for coming on this episode of Get the Fork Out, Melissa. And we'll be in touch. Awesome to catch up with you.
Absolutely. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.